Hello, my sweet Scorpios. I am here to give you a bonus read. How are you, friends? I hope you're well. I'm here to just give you a little bit of energy. I'm just taking a break from doing the weeklies, which will come back soon. And I'm here just to give you a little bit of energy. If you have a placement in Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or Jupiter, Scorpio, there might be something here for you. Keep in mind, it is a general reading. Let's find out what's going on for you, Scorpio. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Scorpio, please. We have the World card, Scorpio. There is a shift that's coming here. Tell me about the shift. Here we have the Knight of Wands. It's coming in fast, and you better be brave. Oh boy. It feels like you're about to exit an old chapter, friend. That's what it looks like. It feels good to me. It feels exciting, but it also feels like something that you're not used to. I don't think you like change. And, well, you're a fixed sign. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Depends on what your chart says. But it feels like there is something that's bearing down on you quickly that you're going to have to be very brave about. And it's to finally close the door to the old chapter. Tell me more. Oh, okay. You could be getting a divorce. You could be someone who is finally at the end of a commitment of some sort, the commitment to an employer, commitment to, because the Hierophant is a commitment, but it could be to a marriage. It could be someone you've committed to. It doesn't have to be marriage, but it also feels like it could be something you've been doing for the very long term because it's expected of you. And you're too loyal to say no. So it could be a job. It could be some sort of career path you've had for a really long time. I feel like you've come upon some new information that has given you peace about this. And with the Knight of Wands here, it feels like in order for you to close this chapter for the last time, it does feel like it's going to have to be something that you... it's going to rock your stability a little bit. This is brand new. You're breaking ground here. But it feels like ultimately... It feels like you've got to be brave, friend, because I think you've tried to close this door more than once. We've got the King of Cups. You're not showing anybody on the surface how you feel about this, because I feel like there underneath is probably, oh, yeah, right? I was looking at this. There's like some sort of wild dragon tail here, and it feels like it is something that is making you very... I would say unstable underneath the surface, because the Knight of Wands is here touching the King of Cups. It feels like this is an instability of your emotions. You feel very emotional about closing the door, but I feel because you showed up as the King of Cups, not the Knight of Cups or the Page, that you are not showing people on the surface how deeply you feel about leaving this old chapter behind. Just hearing something, hang on. It feels like it's something you might have been doing since you were like young, like in your younger years, like maybe in your 20s or 30s. I just heard Thunder by Imagine Dragons. Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, want to let loose, want to leave my old life behind. So it feels like there is a lifestyle change. So you're walking into a new part of your life. This is not just closing the door and locking it because you sold the house. This is a lifestyle shift. We've got the Three of Swords, and this is something that is really, really hard for you to do. It feels like it is disappointing that even though you are very stoic, you know, someone who stands on business, you're very committed, I feel like it didn't work out, and it's heartbreaking or disappointing because I don't think that you wanted to leave. I think that your loyalty made you stay probably right to the end. So possibly if this is a marriage or a long-time job, it feels like you would have rather have stayed in the loyalty and the commitment, but it feels like there was something here you couldn't ignore any longer. It was emotional heartbreak. It feels like you may not have wanted to let go because the Hierophant, the Taurus, has a hard time letting go. But the Judgment is here, and it tells me with this Three of Swords that the writing is on the wall, Scorpio. The writing is on the wall, my friend. The Judgment card comes here to show you that, look, this is just going to happen all over again. I like to say that the major arcanas are inevitable. it's inevitable energy. It's the life path. And so I feel like you're shifting out of the old you, or the way you used to be, or the commitment you used to have. The marriage, the long-term, maybe somebody who's retiring here possibly. Maybe you're not ready to retire, but you want to retire because you want to have, it feels like late retirement if that's you, that maybe you're somewhere in your 70s and you're still working because you love what you do. You stand on business, you're very loyal. Feels like there is something here that is deeply, touches your heart very deeply. But I feel like the Judgment card keeps coming back, like the situation keeps showing up and saying, hey, are you going to look at it this time, or are you going to look away? I feel like the reason you're looking away is because you don't want to let people down, but you also don't want to have to face the heartbreak. I feel like it's inevitably you have to shift, because I feel like you've come to a place in your life where you're stagnant. And although I feel like you would rather stay where you are and just do what you're doing, I feel like movement. When I see the Knight of Wands and I see all of the, it looks like there's almost like the grass is on fire. It reminds me of an earthquake. And so it reminds me that the earth is moving here, and it's like you can't, you are the King of Cups and you can't fix this. And that bothers you the most. You can't continue on this way. Tell me why the Knight of Wands is here. We've got the Eight of Wands, because it is time to go. I feel like it's time to go because there is nothing left for you to do here. The Nine of Wands is, I've burnt myself out. Look, if there was a way that you could stay, I think that you would, Scorpio. But I feel like this Eight of Wands being here says, I got to take a shot at the future, because the ninth wand being here tells me you're burnt out. There's nothing left for me to do. I've done everything that I can in this relationship. So I feel like we are talking about something, someone, a situation you're bonded to. This could mean love. If this is Two of Cups and the Hierophant and the World card, all three of those together, that's my combination for divorce. So I feel like you wanted to stay and the other person did not. Look, flip it. Maybe it's you that pulled the plug. But I feel like this Two of Cups is telling me, maybe if I leave now, that maybe there is something left for me out there. Maybe I just need to take a shot at love. I feel like, you're the King of Cups, that you require depth in somebody. Possibly you're not getting the depth there any longer, because the World card is with the King of Cups. The door could be closed on you, but I also feel like you're not getting enough emotion to feed your depth, is what it feels like. The Two of Cups is here. So, the King of Cups is ultimately very deep, right? The most deep, right? I always call it jumping right into the deep end. And the Two of Cups is here with the Six of Pentacles. I feel like you're giving someone the depth of all of you, and someone else is giving you pentacles, giving you reciprocal energy. Walking past you in the kitchen, reading their paper, holding it up in front of you while they eat their breakfast. It feels like somebody here is not giving you what you need in order to be able to survive emotionally. Tell me about the World card. Tell me about Scorpio and the World card. We've got the Nine of Cups. We've got the Queen of Wands. And we've got, oh gosh, I don't like that. The High Priestess is in the reverse. So this is only for some of you, and I'm not saying that this is what's going on. So please, please, please use your discernment. If you're in a happy relationship and it's really grand, I'm not reading about you. But for those of you who might be suspecting, maybe I'm confirming that someone else has another person. Because in this type of reading, when it comes to divorces or things like that, it feels like the Queen of Wands being here could be the other person, somebody who is in their fire energy. And then with the High Priestess in the reverse, it feels like you might have found out that somebody that you are married to is dating somebody else. Now, I don't know what the ultimate outcome is, because this could be like, maybe, yeah, but we've been separated and just living at two people in a house for a while. And so, the other one is dating, and that makes sense to you. But the Nine of Cups is here. It almost feels like relief, my friend. It gave you permission to go. It's almost as if when it comes to the surface, when the secret comes out that the Queen of Wands is here, it feels like it almost, Nine of Cups gives you relief, because now you have permission to close the door. And I think that you wouldn't give yourself permission because you're so damn loyal. Tell me about this Hierophant here. We have the Empress. We have the Seven of Pentacles. And we have the Four of Cups. Yeah. Things that became stagnant. There's no more growth here. I feel like you were the one putting in all the work, honestly, because the Seven of Pentacles is here. It's about working really, really hard on something. And I think you were working really hard on the Empress. I think that, honestly, I think that you're probably the one who wanted to stay. But I feel also that you will be that legendary loyalty kind of person, right? You're legendary with your loyalty. And I feel like that you were not going to be the one who pulled the plug. So I feel like with the Empress here, that this feels like the growth of abundance. So I want to say that it turned from a place of emotion, like an emotional connection, to a place of what do we own? Because it feels like somebody's working really, really hard intentionally to build wealth. And it feels like now that we've got the wealth, it's not everything we thought it would be. So I feel like we ended up staying in this relationship for a time. And this relationship is just about money now, about what we can buy, what we own, the assets, the splitting of the assets. It feels like that the emotional part of it became stagnant. You started going out separately, going out with your friends, not taking the spouse, not taking the best friend, whatever I'm talking about. But the Four of Cups tells me that it became the comfort zone. The comfort zone was that you were loyal. You were loyal to the Empress. You could be the Empress. Tell me about the King of Cups. We've got the Page of Cups. We've got the Two of Pentacles. I think you surprised yourself by making this decision. If you were the one that made the decision. Well, look at that. So I think that we have somebody here that possibly mirrored you for a long time. I feel that there was probably a real depth of emotion and love here for the longest time. But I feel like it's grown into the Four of Cups now. So I feel like it's run its journey. And the Two of Pentacles tells me I had to make the decision. So you could have pulled the plug because the Two of Pentacles is here with the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups is sort of a surprise. That person could have sprung it on you, possibly. This Three of Swords, tell me what we need to know about the Three of Swords. Five of Cups, yeah. Strength card. So either you had to finally find the courage to pull the plug because of information that became available to you, or the other person pulled the plug. I feel like a secret came out. I feel like this person divulged a secret, or you found out a secret through somebody else. It feels like that the High Priestess is no longer silent. Maybe that person told you that they were seeing someone else. So the Three of Swords is here next to the Five of Cups, and I'm very sorry if this is happening to you. Even if it's not happening to you, even if you have initiated it, I feel like it's regret, because it does feel like it was a long-term commitment. The Strength card is here. I must find the courage to not be in regret over this heartbreak. I had to, based on the observations, based on the information I dug up, based on the investigation that I did. There's no way it could be any other way, because the World card is here, and that's inevitability, right? And inevitably, this secret was going to come out, and that could possibly be why the door is closing here. You may have initiated it, but it may have been closed on you. Tell me about the Judgment card. I think that, you know what, when we're in relationships and somebody else is stepping out, we know. We just don't want to see it. We don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want anything to change. The Hierophant is here. Somebody is stuck in nostalgia, possibly stuck in, I meant forever when I did this. It feels like somebody here didn't want to leave. Tell me about the Judgment card. But I think that the writing was on the wall, friend, because I feel like the Judgment card tells me this has come around before. This is nothing new. We've got the Nine of Wands in the reverse. We've got the Eight of Pentacles. And we've got the Lovers. So look, the good news is you're going to love again, friend. You're going to find love, or love will find you. But the Nine of Wands is here, right? It was like I did everything I possibly could to keep this love alive. But I'm the King of Cups. I thrive on emotion. Whether I show that to people on the surface or not. The Queen of Cups is here as well. So it could be your feminine or masculine. I feel as though with the Nine of Wands being in the reverse here, you realize that the only way to stop feeling burnt out, you just stop working on it. You stop giving your energy, your fire, you stop giving it. Because the Eight of Pentacles is here. I think you stop giving to a situation where you were the only one putting in everything when you begin to heal. The Eight of Pentacles tells me you start working on yourself. You start building yourself up, pentacle by pentacle, practical energy. It feels like you have decided that if you are going to love again, the lovers, you're going to have to choose to work on you. So I'm not talking about going back to the gym. I'm talking about working on the inner self, not the outer self. I mean, you can go to the gym if you want to, but working on how you look is lovely. It really is. It's good for your health. It's good for your mental health. But I feel like it's the inward work that probably ended up bringing this to an end, that you probably ended up calling it because, look, I'm in this place where I'm healing. I know that I'm worth more. I know my worth. The King of Cups knows their worth. All right. Tell me what the outcome is, or if there's any advice here for Scorpio in this situation. We've got the Nine of Swords. What's going on here? We've got the Four of Pentacles. I think this is the major issue here. I feel like you are a person who is not comfortable with being vulnerable with your emotions. And in order to be able to keep your emotions intact, not show it on the surface, and be comfortable in your comfort zone here, I feel like the Four of Pentacles in the reverse got in the way. I feel like rather than going out there, starting again, starting over and being vulnerable in the world, vulnerable to people, people are going to know what's going on in your life, that a divorce feels like a failure. And it's not. When it fails, it's karmic. You've already learned the lessons. Now it's time to go. So I feel like this Four of Pentacles in the reverse and the Nine of Swords tells me, but I worry about having to be vulnerable in the world again, alone. That's what it feels like here. One more card. And we have the Nine of Pentacles. Look, you are such a hard worker, and you are working on yourself, Eight of Pentacles, but you're also, Seven of Pentacles, working so hard on being very intentional with who you give your energy to. I think you'll be fine. The Nine of Pentacles tells me that you're not only single, friend, but you are single and abundant. You're confident. You end up having, yes, the glow up on the outside, because I feel like somebody here is hitting the gym right away. You on the outside, right? You have the glow up on the outside, you have the glow up on the inside. I feel like it is just overall strength and confidence that comes out of this. And then we have the Ace of Wands. And look, it feels like once you realize that you have the ability to be autonomous, to have your own money, to buy your own house, to thrive financially, it feels like once you have that realization that you can do it all on your own, there's also the realization that I can feel passionate about something again. Because I feel like that's what happens, like when we start rolling, we start rolling down things, or I'm going to say, what am I doing this for? When it starts to decline, there's no more passion. That's the first thing that goes, right? And then eventually we stop touching each other. We stop hugging each other. We stop showing each other affection or love. And so I feel like it's almost as if you have this realization that when you turn around and go the other way, judgment card, that when you finally look it in the eye and say, okay, I'm ready to confront it at this time, you realize eventually after your growth period, the 8 and then the 9 is here, after your ascension, your first ascension or your awakening, I feel that you realize that this is actually the most exciting time of your life. So I don't think that for those of you who are in the middle of this, I'm sorry that you are, but it feels like you might be carrying something really heavy. This might be a heavy decision you haven't made just yet. I'm going to say to you that there is life on the other side of the World card. The World card is the end of a chapter of your life. It's not the end of your life. It's the end of a chapter of your life. But I feel like what is beginning for you, the next chapter, is super, super duper exciting. But take your time to heal, my friend. Try not to jump into relationships one after the other. Those would all be karmic, right? Those are people you're trying to bring in to help you feel something. But I feel like the next chapter of your life is really exciting, friend. Yeah. And I think you're choosing to continue to work on yourself. It does feel like that because you end up in the Nine of Pentacles. I think you're readying yourself to be vulnerable in the world. And I think that's the most worrying part, that you are going to have to be very vulnerable in this next shift after the World card. So the Ten of Wands is here. I feel like you might be carrying financial burdens that need to be taken care of, but I think those all work out because the celebration is here. I feel like once you realize why this happened, that possibly you came to the place where you finally there was see this here, right? The 9 and the ace. There's nothing else you could have done, and I think that's the message here for you. There's just no other way it could have ended up when the major arcanas get involved. It's just a matter of time. It's inevitability, regardless of whether you're loyal or not. It has no reflection on your loyalty. Scorpio, I'm going to go for now. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I do appreciate you, and I'm going to be back, so I hope you'll be too. And if you do come back, then we'll do this again. Take care of you. Thanks, Scorps. Bye-bye.